How in the world do you paint tree bark? My name's Felicia Fallum and I'm going to give it a go. Okay, so as my little one was falling asleep, I saw this post and I was like, challenge accepted. I haven't done this in a while, but I was thinking about it, and I was going to practice the technique where you kind of blurrily draw just the shadows, the dark and the light spots, and then you go in after that and add the dark. You can see I'm doing that here. And so I did that first with just pencil, and then I did go after the pencil. I did a similar one in watercolor, which you'll see in just a few minutes. But here is the detail close up. And if you wanted to, you could go back over this in fine liner. So you would have another level of depth and you would do those really detailed little crack lines, I think is what the next step of the pencil one would be. And then here's the watercolor one. I will kind of talk you through it. I have kind of a technique of watercolor that is my favorite to work with, and this is more of a sit down and if I have time to observe something or if I'm actually painting from a photograph. But I will do in the lightest parts first, which is kind of a shadowy color. I like to mix my browns and blacks similarly almost all the time, where I will use a red, a purple, and a blue, or a green, a blue, purple, and maybe like a yellow or orange. And so you'll see this, I'll do kind of the same colors. I'll do a grayish that's just left in my palette from last time, or actually I think I did black. I usually don't use black, but I think there is some black in this one just for full transparency. There's like a thing with black, using whether you use black or not. I'm an anti-black person, but I think I did in this one on accident, kind of ish. But you can see I did the grayish color first, and then I did a blue on top of it, and then you can see the green. And so I'm just going in and I'm putting in the shadows, kind of starting with the lightest shadows first. And so with watercolor you work backwards, but you're just so I already did the line, like the pencil one, so I was looking at the marks and like looking at the actual shapes within the shapes within the shapes. And this, I think watercolors give a really good opportunity to do like shapes within shapes, because it's transparent, and so you can go back over top of different things. And so I just kind of am laying in the textures. If I was using an actual brush and not a water brush, I would try to do more dry on dry for like kind of that cracky, scrapey feeling, but also I want to get this done tonight. So it's also just kind of going quicker. You can see I really start to put in the dark colors. And so this is how I do a lot of paintings, where you don't really see what's happening until you start adding in the dark colors. And like I said, this one's purple, and so purple is not the color it's going to end up being, but there are a lot of purples and grays and blues. And I'd say like a lot of blues and grays in this specific tree, and even like some browns, but it's really not brown. There's much more gray and blue and like these colors that you are seeing, although they're too vivid. I do mute it down. I kind of like, with watercolor, you can kind of mute down like everything at once, and I'll do that later with more of a wash in technique. But really, for learning to do tree bark, and I'm not like an expert at it. I did art in college quite a bit, and then I avoided watercolor though, because I went to college in Laramie, Wyoming. I avoided watercolor. I didn't do watercolor until my last semester of college. But we were in Wyoming and everybody did landscapes. And I was like, I don't want to do landscapes. Like, they're too overdone. And so now as a mom, I'm doing a lot of homeschool stuff and really getting into the idea of nature, studying the value in it for education, and like just creating the awe of science and nature and creation and beauty and what is good. And so I'm getting back into landscapes and nature, which is just kind of crazy. So anyways, I'll just say I haven't done a ton with wood, but I'm using the same techniques I've used to draw a hand or anything. So all that to say, it's kind of the same technique. You're observing. If you can look more at what you're drawing than your actual drawing, I think that's a great way to learn to observe something. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good night. Bye.